At Lifehack Coaching, we help women over 35 to balance hormones naturally, boost metabolism, and lose weight sustainably. Welcome to another episode of Perimenopause Weight Loss and Wellness Podcast. Today I'm super excited because I've got a very special guest joining me, one of my incredible clients, Del. Del came to me wanting to lose weight, learn how to fuel her body with the right nutrition, and figured out how to naturally balance her hormones during perimenopause. She was feeling overwhelmed, like we all do, a bit frustrated and a bit stuck, like many of us in this phase of life. But let me tell you, Del absolutely smashed it. Her transformation wasn't just physical. She gained so much knowledge, confidence, and also control over her health and her hormones. And so I invited her on our podcast today to share her journey, what she learned and how she feels and what worked for her with her busy lifestyle. So grab a coffee, settle in, and let's get ready to be inspired by Del's story. So Del, tell us a little bit about yourself and why did you decide to work with me?
Hi. I came along to a one-day workshop that you had run, and so I had a sense of who you were and how you like to work and what you did. I'm 48 and I'm full-time working mum, so I guess I probably didn't fully appreciate that I was starting to experience some of the symptoms of menopause, but one of the things that I had really noticed was that I had put on weight and that the things that I would normally do to be able to shift that weight just wasn't working for me anymore. And so, I was trying a few different things, wasn't working. I was getting quite frustrated as well as experiencing those symptoms. And some of those symptoms were starting to kind of vary and I just wasn't really sure what to do. So I knew that while I could, start going to the gym more or being really strict around what I ate, that wasn't really kind of working when I had tried it, but also that I needed to figure out something different. And I knew that because of the hormone aspect, I needed someone who really understood that aspect. Just going to a regular gym PT probably wasn't going to work for me.
Yeah. Do you mind sharing with us what symptoms were you experiencing?
Yeah. So to start off with, I think that probably the first couple of symptoms that I was experiencing, which I didn't actually quite associate with perimenopause, was just being really tired and brain fog. Like I honestly thought that I was just not up to my job anymore and was a little bit worried about that. So quite relieving to realise that in fact that's actually what's going on for me, and I just needed to just work through it, right? Because it is a phase that you go through, but also learning how to manage that as well. And there's definitely things that you can do to help to minimise those symptoms. Then it kind of progressed a little bit more to the kind of gaining weight and in particular weight around my midriff, which was not really something that I'd kind of experienced in the past other than when I'd been pregnant. Obviously not because of the baby bump, but in the early stages of pregnancy, that's what I had noticed first was suddenly around my midriff area. So that was definitely, again, probably one of those things that made me go, actually, I think this is more than just maybe not getting enough sleep or not eating well, etc.
Yeah. And brain fog is crazy. I remember when I was 38, and that's when I first started really experiencing brain fog and anxiety and thinking something is totally wrong with me. Like, do I have something wrong with my brain? Am I going crazy? And I remember having a conversation with my friend who is a psychologist, and I said, am I experiencing like psychosis or was something actually wrong with me? Like, am I going crazy? And she said, don't worry, babe. If you were going crazy, you wouldn't be thinking you're going crazy. And they kind of settled that. And I was like, okay, I'm okay. I'm fine. But yeah, that's the one thing, the first thing for me was as well. I couldn't remember where I put my keys. I couldn't remember if I locked my door or car, or I literally had to turn the oven, like before dropping kids off to school, like turn the oven off, like turn everything off. And I would have to stand there and go, I have turned the oven off. I have turned the oven off, because I knew if I sit in the car, I'd be like, I can't remember if I turned the oven off. And I had to go inside the house to check. So yeah, I hear you with that. All right. The other thing you mentioned that you gain weight. So we worked through losing weight. How much weight have you lost and how long did it take you?
So over the period that I worked with you, I lost 6 kgs, which didn't really seem like that much, but I really have noticed quite a big difference in how my clothes are fitting. So I've definitely gone down a dress size. But I think more than that, it's how I am physically feeling and I just feel more in control and I feel more confident that actually I can continue to lose. And not that I would want to lose too much more, but I do actually feel like I now have the tools to be able to do that. And it actually doesn't feel that harder work now that I know what to do. And one of the things that I did learn quite early on was that, in fact, I wasn't eating enough. So, one of those things that I thought that I was doing that was helping was actually going against me. So, yeah, I do feel like now I have the tools that I need to be able to carry on.
Yeah. And it's amazing. This is the most common thing that I see with a lot of women. They're actually not eating enough. They're not nourishing their body, which makes their body work against them. It goes, well, I'm not going to cooperate because you're not nourishing me. I'm suffering here. So why should I lose any weight? Yeah. So that's very common. And the other thing is I wanted to comment is that when you come in, you didn't need to lose lots of weight anyway. So 6 kilos for you is a lot. For some people who need to lose 30 kilos, 6 kilos will seem like not much, there's nothing. But you didn't need to lose 20 or even 10 kilos. You just needed to tone up and just lose that extra cushioning that you've gained in the last couple of years. That's it, right? No, that's cool. So what did you learn about the food and also how it affects your body and your health?
So probably one of the key things was about protein. So making sure that I was eating enough protein with every meal, which actually you really do need to consciously work on. And even now I need to make sure that, how am I going to make sure that I'm getting protein as part of my breakfast? And so some of those things are just part of my routine now, which is great because I don't need to think about it. It just naturally is happening and part of what I do. But I think understanding more about and consciously thinking about the composition of my meals when I'm eating, the importance of making sure that you do have breakfast. I used to always have breakfast. And in fact, breakfast used to be my favorite meal of the day, but that had really kind of slipped as I'd just become a busy working mum and it just wasn't prioritizing it. But actually that was not helping. So I think one of the things that I was a bit worried about when I first was trying to decide whether or not this was going to work for me was having to make lots of changes to the way that I live my life and knowing that I already felt like I didn't necessarily have much space, mental or otherwise, to be able to make changes. But what I really liked was that I was still able to do things like do HelloFresh for evening meals because I didn't have the time or the mental space to be thinking about meal prep, etc. But that I was able to incorporate that and make adjustments so that I could still keep doing that.
Yeah.
So I think that flexibility, but having the understanding around, okay, so if you're going to do that, then what do you need to do elsewhere during the day to make sure that overall for your day, you're getting the nutrients that you need, but you're still, within your calorie.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. And so how's your understanding of hormones changed and the way you approach your weight loss and overall well-being?
Yeah, I think so. It was really, I think, good taking the time, dedicating the time to understanding more about what was going on. And it was really timely because right when we first started working together, my periods stopped. And so it was great because in those check-ins, I was able to say, I don't know what's going on here. Or I started having hot flushes, which was a new thing. And I was like, oh my God, this is like crazy. Is there anything that I can do to help minimize this? So I was really lucky actually that I had already started working with you when that started because it meant that I could talk through with you what was going on and you could say, okay, so have a think about this or have tried this. So that was really good. But also understanding how my body was, or helping figure out how my body was responding to particular foods that I might be eating and how that might be affecting what was going on with my hormones. So, our bodies are really complex. No two people are the same. So, sitting down and reading a book or even just watching one single video with somebody is never going to work. So it was great having that opportunity to go, this is what's going on for me, and for you asking questions to figure out what that might be going on.
Yeah, our bodies are very, very different. 100%. And that's why I don't believe in the cookie cutter plans. And there's no point. Like you can buy a plan, meal plan and some recipes and whatever, and it might work. Potentially will work, especially if you're in early 30s. But for most females, once they hit 40, it has to be very personalized because a lot of things changing and happening in that time. Definitely. Have you changed anything with your fitness routine, exercise during this time?
Yeah, that was definitely one of the things that I wanted to focus on. I'd always been really good around exercising regularly. I knew that exercise was really important for me, for my overall health. But it was one of the things that I was really struggling to fit into my lifestyle. And so I think one of the things that I really liked was you just made it simple to start to incorporate it. And then once it was incorporated, it just made it so much easier to do. So just starting off with going for a half an hour walk in the morning, I was like, okay, well, I can do that. And I was actually amazed at how regularly I was able to do that and how much better it made me feel. And then it kind of had a flow-on effect from there. And while I might not have done all of what I ideally would have done, I now feel like I can build up to that because half an hour walk is easy to incorporate, and I just slowly worked up from there. So no, that was definitely a big tick for me, was being able to get that back into my lifestyle, because I know that that's really important for me.
Yeah. Well, and that leads kind of to my last question is, what mindset shifts or lessons have been the most important to you in this journey?
I think being kind to myself, making sure that I am giving myself the space to reflect and think and do the things that are important for me, as well as, you know, everyone around me. So I think, and just understanding that where I'm at now is different to when I was in my 20s, and I can't approach life in the same way.
Yeah.
And it would be unrealistic of me to try to do so. And it's a journey, and it will continue to change. So I need to make sure that I'm continuing to check in with myself around how things are continuing to evolve.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It could be very empowering and encouraging for others to hear that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And by implementing healthy habits, focusing on nourishing the body, nutrition, a bit of exercise, a bit of mindset change can make things way better and more manageable, because it's never going to be perfect and it's not going to go away. Perimenopause is hard. And then when you hit menopause, you're post-menopausal after that, but it's not like you just switch the switch and you finally feel amazing. No, it's just going to stay the same. You have to manage it. You know, you have to take care of your body and your soul and your mind for the rest of your life, pretty much. So thank you so much for coming on podcast and sharing your experience with us.
No problem. And thank you so much for all your help on this journey. It's been, it really has been awesome and has made such a difference for me.
If you have any questions about this podcast or about hormones, weight loss, or just healthier lifestyle, please go to our website at lifehackcoaching.co.nz, or feel free to email me directly, Anastasia@lifehackcoaching.co.nz.